This is the book that helped me escape my childhood. This is the book that I read when no one in my family or friends was as mind blown as I was by how the universe came to be, or how physics works, or how quantum mechanics works. This is the book that started my fascination with the human brain and made me really want to study neurology for the first time. I've probably read thousands of books by this point in my life, and I often get asked how to make reading a habit or how to read more. And usually my response is, well, why do you want to do this at all? And the answer to that is something along the lines of, it's good for you. While I don't think that anyone should feel guilty that they read more or less than other people, I genuinely think that books have changed the way that my brain works. And therefore I want to share 5 ways that books have kind of shifted and changed my brain. And if any one of these sounds a bit interesting, maybe that might give you a stronger incentive to start reading. Number 1, I think that books give you the opportunity to have more friends. And as sad as this sounds, let me try to explain. Especially when I was younger, I did not really have access to a lot of people. It would just be my family and people that I was with in school. And the chances that in this very small group of people, you find someone who matches with each one of your preferences in life is actually quite low. So when it comes to books, I find that if someone has thought about it, someone else or them has probably written about it. So I don't like the thought that we should limit our experiences and interactions with people with just those with whom we kind of run into in our day-to-day life. We should kind of broaden that scope into people who are somewhere else in the world or have even died and are not alive today. And books definitely allow you to do this. Especially non-fiction books feel a lot like a conversation, and therefore you can kind of explore topics that you are interested in with someone else with whom you probably will never get the chance to meet, but that's absolutely fine because you're getting the pleasure of their kind of friendship and interaction. You actually might find that you have a lot more in common with a philosopher who died 300 years ago in some ways that you view the world than with your flatmate. I have definitely formed friendships in some ways with certain authors, or at least their essays or things that they have written. I love the sentence that we only feel lonely because experiences like ours are scattered in the world, and actually we are not that alone. And I feel like books can kind of help unlock that when you see, even with fictional characters, things that people have gone through might be very similar to things that you have experienced, but no one around you has done the same thing. I feel as though books in the past have definitely helped me feel a lot less alone. Secondly, and I love this one, books have created a whole other fictional reality in my brain. I will use Harry Potter as an example for this, or I could use Aragon for the same kind of thing, but books go into so much detail about whole other worlds. So in my brain, I have this kind of space for people and places and laws and connections and histories and stories that are just as real, in a way, as the world that I have lived in myself. So sometimes, even as an adult, if I just want to kind of escape the present for like half an hour or an hour, all I need to do is pick up a Harry Potter book, and I know that I can very easily dip into this whole other reality, which makes so much sense for me. And beyond this, I actually remember what was happening in my life when I was first reading the book and laying down these memories. So this like Harry Potter world, for example, is kind of very intertwined with my own personal life and my own personal story. And so it kind of adds layers and dimension to my own personal memories of my life experience. And it also adds the whole areas of vibrancy and joy that are very fun to kind of escape to when I want to. And I think it kind of really promotes my imagination and prompts my memories in a way that is absolutely beautiful. 10 out of 10 would recommend reading fiction for this. The third thing is that books kind of switch on a radio in my brain very often. And what I mean by this is, for example, you might be in an empty, quiet room and you might think, okay, there is literally no sound in here. But if someone gave you a radio and you tuned it onto the right frequency, you can think, oh yes, there must be radio waves because now I am hearing the sound through the radio. And reading books can sometimes have this effect on me. So for example, if I'm reading a story wherein the author is kind of describing the trees in a lot of detail and the way that they move and the way that they look and the way that their barks are shaped and grow, I feel as though the next time I leave my house and look at the tree, I will appreciate it in a way that I have never done before. Because many different authors choose to focus on different aspects of reality, which can be physical things such as trees, or certain ways that we experience the world, or certain characters or characteristics about people, like the way that the hair flows in the main protagonist, or the way that someone's eyes sparkle. I start to notice these things in my own reality for a short period of time after. So I somehow adopt the lens that the author uses to view the world as my own, and this can be extremely fun. It definitely adds like vibrancy in my way of experiencing the world, and I can always tell after a book that I'm having the after effects of the author's way of writing in my own experience. So I find that to be extremely, extremely fun. The next thing that books have done for me is kind of unlock parts of my brain that I did not have access to. For example, sometimes if I'm feeling like bad, I might name that feeling as anxiety or stress or just sadness, but very often it feels quite vague. I don't actually know what is causing it or what the feeling is. I fully believe that if I don't have specific words to name feelings, I just don't have access to what that feeling really is in the higher parts of my brain. So my subconscious might know what it is, but I am only consciously aware that there's something brewing down there, but I don't know what it is. And sometimes I will read a book wherein the author has an ability to describe something very, very similar to what I'm feeling, and suddenly something clicks in my brain and I go, oh my God, yes, that's what I was feeling, or that is why I did that thing, or that is why I felt a certain way. And I feel like authors have such a great ability to do this, probably because they spend so much time, like years or months, building up characters and their experiences, or because, like I said, no one around me has gone through this experience, but the author has done, and so they've put it in a character in their book, or just because they have a better grasp of literature and language than I do. So they just tend to name things in a way that makes me unlock that experience, unlock that feeling in a way that I couldn't do before. If you're looking for this sort of experience, I would definitely recommend classics. People like Virginia Woolf or Shakespeare have given, I think, so much time into analysing the human experience, and they are so gifted with words in describing what they're thinking so well that very, very often with these two authors, I will find that kind of click in my brain when I go, oh my God, yes, this is it. Of course, you can get this effect or much better effects through therapy, but I find to a lesser extent to get the same thing through reading. And my fifth and final thing is that books have helped me learn about my own brain. And what I mean by this is that I fully believe that if two people were to read the same book, they would read it in two completely different ways. The reason for that is every time I approach a book, I approach it with my own background, with my own judgments, with my own baggage, and with my own ways of viewing things. Therefore, very often I will learn more about myself from a book than I learn from the book itself. Sometimes I will read into something and think, oh, this was definitely not what the author meant, but this is what I feel. And so the book will just kind of be the key that unlocks that thing within myself. Sometimes that will be blatantly obvious. Sometimes it is a lot less obvious and it will only come about when I'm reading the summary of the book or reading a forum on the book, or if I'm lucky enough to have someone else who has read the book around me to discuss it with them and realize maybe this is just me and not what the author meant. I feel as though this path of unintentional self-exploration that books can put me on is absolutely beautiful. And I feel as though fiction and philosophy are the best things for this when it comes to myself. I wanted to keep this video short and sweet, so I'm going to end it here, but I hope any of these made sense to you. And if you could please share your current struggles with reading, I would actually love to potentially do a video on overcoming those, which might go in a bit more depth. But if you made it so far, thank you so much for spending this time with me. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Be kind to yourself and others, and don't believe everything you think. Thanks. Bye.